sign for keeping secrets in my head, or any space you can find. Glad to see that I could help make your life a bit easier. But have you ever thought of how I felt? You need to think about your behavior.
Sometimes I press the wrong button, and sometimes I don't. Hey, this is Butch On Sports. Simply Butch is here. And as always, thanks for tuning in on a very long August the 16th, boys and girls here. Oh, boy. We have some sports news to give you. And some type of a memorial, as we know, and we love Aretha Franklin, and she left this earth today to be in a better place here. And again, we'll talk about it at the bottom of the show here. And indeed, we will definitely touch on that there. And some also other things that were pretty amazing on and strenuous on this day here. Let's talk about the Detroit Lions, talking about strenuous there. Their progress is ongoing there as they had another practice at the training facility in Allen Park, Michigan. Indeed, they'll be ready to go against the New York Giants tomorrow at Ford Field. First home look at the Detroit Lions and their staff of merry men. There has been rumors that our quarterback will not be our starting quarterback. That is, will not be starting, but we'll have a smorgasbord of other participants trying to find that number 2 quarterback and also that backup, maybe in camp, or as I would call it, the impression of another quarterback to face, get our team ready for the real season there. However, Matt Patricia had some things to say when he was asked about the progression on what he was looking for between the preseason game of 1 and 2, and he said the biggest thing for us is going from game 1 to game 2. In the game itself, it'll just the improvement or the similar things that we did last week. So trying to keep basic game plans for that standpoint and just trying to increase the level of execution. He sees that we can improve from the standpoint. We can also add a couple of new things or twists that maybe did not look last week like we did anything, but they'll try out again and see how it goes there. Basically, right now, again, the Lions will be in play tomorrow at Ford Field. Game time around about 7:10 in the evening hours there at Ford Field, downtown Detroit. So be there, be square. It's only a preseason game, boys and girls. I'm quite sure, though, many with that football fever will want to see the Detroit Lions play tomorrow in downtown Detroit. The Grand Prix, I did not mention that the last show that we were on, which was a couple of days ago, the Grand Prix in Michigan. Department of Natural Resources had reached an agreement for the annual Motorsports Festival that will continue at Belle Isle for the next at least 3 years more. Under the terms and agreement of the Grand Prix, will return to its home at Belle Isle for 3 more years, beginning in 2019, with an option extending with the agreement 2 additional years that could last to 2023. The previous agreement to host the Grand Prix on Belle Isle concluded in 2018, which is this year, of course, boys and girls. The Grand Prix official listened to some public feedback on the future of the race in the past year. and a lot of complaints have been made in regards to it. It's an upside to things in the city of Detroit, but it was a lot of downsides that many of the citizens of the city of Detroit and beyond had some problems with digesting when the Grand Prix was out there in Detroit, somewhat very much so obvious. And one of them was basically simple as the access of the park. The length of time that the park is taken up to set up for the Grand Prix. But mainly, the big thing is that the regular citizens not being disturbed or not being limited to certain portions and parts of the park. Also, the city thought that they were being undernourished. So, with the spirit of negotiations going, the Grand Prix and the board members got together, managed some type of agreement and a proposal that would bring in more money for Belle Isle improvements and also shorten the period of time that the Grand Prix is set up and also torn down. So the citizens of more or less the state of Michigan, which is now, again, if you don't know, Belle Isle is a state park, will be able to enjoy it a lot more without those interruptions, or I should say limitations there. Response to the proposal which suggested the changes was on July the 20th, but again, with all the agreement and the dots dotted up and the T's crossed, we got the reaching of the agreement in its full principle when all the lines were settled. The Grand Prix will be here for at least 3 more years. And again, I will repeat, again, proposal there also for an extension of 2 more years after that there to 2023. So good for Belle Isle, hopefully good for the city of Detroit and the surrounding metropolitan Detroit and Michigan areas on the Grand Prix, and hopefully everybody will get along just fine. Yesterday at the Detroit Tigers game, which they lost to the Chicago White Sox in the bumper game, as I call it, of the 3-game series, which ended yesterday on Wednesday. After the game, both the ticket, 97.1, which is called the ticket, which is a sports radio-oriented channel on radio, of course, and also Fox Sports had a chance to interview Victor Martinez after the game. And we knew it was coming, so many baked the cake for it there, but Victor Martinez was asked, will this be his last year in a Tiger uniform, which is, if you don't know, Victor Martinez's contract will end at the end of the season there. Going to Target Field, it will be a big thing for Victor Martinez because, again, it might be his last time in his career when the Tigers open up a 4-game series against the Minnesota Twins. And also, Jack Morris will be honored in Minnesota with his number again retired at the old Target Field there. Soon to be 40 years old, getting back to Victor Martinez, designated hitter for a numerous amount of years. One of the questions that was asked about his retirement and the horizon, and his comments on Wednesday made it pretty much so appropriate there that he's going to be retiring at the end of the season. His quote is, "I'm pretty sure this is going to be it," Martinez said during the post-game interview with Fox Sports, and also Jeff Rieger, that's my buddy here, I gotta mess up his name, from 97.1 The Ticket, asked him the particular question, which he did bounce off until Victor Martinez answered it. It's going to be it. I'm enjoying these last 6 weeks. I'm finally go home. Martinez is batting .244 this season with 6 home runs, 39 RBIs. Again, it can't end too soon, but Victor Martinez, again, is ready to go to a nice little ranch in Florida with 200 heads of cattle, spaces beyond simplicity when the money is made, and enjoy his family. Very good family man indeed. By the way, John Hicks of the Detroit Tigers is likely his season is over after he visited William Myers in Philadelphia on Wednesday afternoon. Hicks will undergo surgery to repair a bilateral core muscle defect in his abdomen wall there. The Tiger manager, Ron Gardenhire, said this today earlier. His recovery time for the injury is 3 to 6 weeks, but with what's left, which is 6 weeks, of course, there, you can bet your bottom dollar that John Hicks' season is over for the Detroit Tigers. Well, let's move on here, boys and girls. In Miami, if you didn't, like yesterday was an afternoon full of, or an evening, early evening full of luxuries, because the Detroit Tigers wasn't playing, they had played early that afternoon. And I just so happened to watch the Major League Baseball Network, as they, if you don't know, they scan in a many a game going on throughout the evening. And one of the games that they scanned in was the Atlanta Braves and the Miami Marlins. Okay, because Ronald Acuna has a chance to kind of make history there for the last 3 games. As of like yesterday, he's hit a leadoff home run. However, Marlins pitcher Jose Arena was not having all of that there. As on the first pitch in the bottom of the first inning, where Ronald Acuna was in junior, by the way, was in there, threw a pitch directly at his elbow and upper arm. And it will look as blatant as you ever want to see a pitch. I guess Arena said, you're not going to hit me, said the gingerbread man here. But however, bench is empty for obvious reasons, especially from Atlanta Braves' standpoint there. Ozuna, only 20 years old, is having a season of the lifetime there, and a big plus for the Atlanta Braves lineup as they're trying to fight for the playoff supremacy there. Arena is appealing, but he's going to be suspended for 6 games throwing at the Atlanta Braves rookie. Again, Arena is appealing his suspension. According to his agent, he'll still be allowed to play until the league resolves the issue. And I don't think the issue is going to be resolved. I think he's going to be suspended for a good little period of time and may get more time for his asking of appealing a suspension that basically looked at him blatantly hitting this guy here. Now, I'm quite sure he'll go in there and say it was not my intent. But you can hit him a whole heck of a lot of places than where he hit him at there. And watching the film very well there, it was blatant here, boys and girls. This pitcher said, you're not going to hit me. You're not going to bust a home run on me. So the placement of the pitch that he threw at was just wrong indeed. So, again, he's appealing the suspension. Arena just appealing it in there, and we'll see what happens through the days. And I'm quite sure it'll be before the end of the week. We know that suspension will be declined, and he'll have to serve a 6 game or maybe more if he leaks off that committee who's hearing his suspension appeal. Major League Baseball also handed down punishment stemming from Tuesday's bench clearing brawl between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants, as Lacio Puig was a player who was hit the hardest there. Puig and the catcher, if you didn't see that particular game, was having a little conversation there that got into a shoving match. Puig, he received 2-game suspension for his role in instigating the brawl, which started after exchange of words with the Giant catcher Nick Huntley there. Huntley was fined, however, he was not suspended for his action. Puig is also receiving a fine for his provoking of a particular brouhaha that should not have been there. And many, and I say it once and I say it again, Major League Baseball is one of the only sports that condones people just running out on the field looking like a bunch of idiots, okay? And Major League Baseball better get it right here. You know, you don't need that many people to make peace. And you don't need the bullpens, you don't need the dugouts to empty on out, to also look like a bunch of bozos here and people who have no business in the brouhaha getting injured or worse. That is stupid. It is dumb. The commission needs to look at what he's doing. Again, my proposal is if the players are going to be on the field, it should be the 9 position players coming off the bench. If there is to be coming off the bench, because the other team already has their position players in play on the field. They're only the 9 position players. I'm saying position players. Designated hitters, stay on the bench. Coaches, stay on the bench. You know, this is getting ridiculous. I think the umpires will have a lot more control in a situation such as that, rather than have to step back and watch 50 to 60 people on the doggone field actually making people's life miserable. They talk about how long a baseball game goes. That stupidity is just dumb. In Major League Baseball, you can't do it in hockey. You come off the bench in hockey, you're suspended, you're fined, and you're kicked out the game. Basketball, the same thing. You're fined, you're suspended, you're kicked out the game. Football, same thing. You're fined, you're suspended, you're kicked out the game. What made baseball better than all those other particular sports? And this Sunday, by the way, they'll have the World Series particular special matchup with 2 teams will get together and have a say at Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where our children are watching this game. And it'll be the only game that maybe they go out and shake each other's hand maybe before or after the game. Which, by the way, that's what we preach to kids, of sportsmanship. But again here, there's no sportsmanship in the clown show that we see when these benches empty. So let's get it stopped, Mr. Commissioner there. Come on. It's not making your game better. It's making a whole heck of a lot worse. I like to say a good brouhaha too, but let's limit the number of people who can go on the field for something they should not be on the field for in the first place. The position players only can leave the bench. And that means match up with a player. That's all. Just keep it clean. Of course, if you get in a fight, you're thrown out the game. If you start laying out these suspensions, if you come off the bench and lay out a suspension where a team has to play shorthanded, or maybe limited to how many people they can call up from their parent AAA or AA farm club, they would definitely look at this particular situation and take heed on it. This is just me. Just simply Butch. And thanks for tuning in. Oh, Marty McNair. Marty McNair is the father of Jordan McNair. He first met with the press today. He had an interview on ESPN. Marty McNair said on the interview that when he first met DJ Duncan while on recruiting visit at their home, Marty said that Duncan promised to do one thing. They would take care of his son. Now, Duncan's on paid leave, administrative leave, for following the death of Jordan McNair, who died from a heat stroke following a team workout in May. Marty thinks that Duncan should deserve to lose his job. And this is his quote: "When I think of DJ Duncan, all I remember is he's sitting in our kitchen table and assured me that he would take care of my son." Marty told ESPN that, and he did everything other than that. What a statement there. Again, Maryland is still investigating this particular situation. College football season will begin in less than 2 weeks. And I can bet your bottom dollar, boys and girls, something's going to happen before then, as far as the coach is concerned. I do believe that there. By the way, the head trainer has resigned from the University of Maryland, I should say. And that'll be it on that one. The Detroit Pistons begin their official season preparing for the 2018-19 season with their new head coach, Dwayne Casey, and a new location for training there. The Free Press sports writer and reporter Vince Ellis tweeted on Thursday that the Pistons will open a camp on the campus of the University of Michigan. The first week of camp will include workouts at Chrysler Arena and the University of Michigan Basketball Players Development Center. The team will also stay in Ann Arbor. What a plus here, boys and girls. So all those eateries and whatnot there, be ready. The Pistons will be in your restaurant to take offense to all your good food and goodies there. Dwayne Casey begins his tenure as a head coach for the Detroit Pistons after a Coach of the Year campaign in Toronto that ended with a sweep out of the playoffs from the Cleveland Cavaliers, and sequentially firing them, which was not a good thing here. And I bet you Toronto's still reeling off of that one there. I might get a little emotional on this particular setup of the game, and this is the last story we'll do before we take it home. Today is August the 16th, and it brings a whole heck of a lot of memories back for me as a person and my livelihood here. August the 16th is my mom's birthday. She would have been 87 years of age this day. I miss my mom dearly, and you just don't know why or know how I miss her. But she made me the guy I am today, that feisty little guy who just would stand up and say, hey, look, and try to use great judgment in dealing with things there. This also was the day of the death of Elvis Presley, if you can put the Wayback Machine there. Also in 1987, I had some dual jobs there, but one of the jobs I had for a full-time base was I was a stock clerk and also a union representative for Farmer Jack's for local 876. This is the day that a store called Farmer Jack's made history in the state of Michigan, as this day at 11:59, the store went on strike. One of the first supermarkets in the country to say, heck no, we won't have it, and went on strike. The strike lasted about a week, but it was kind of devastating to a lot of members who never did it before. But we all stuck together, and the strike was ended. This also was a day of a very terrible accident, as this particular day, on that particular day, I might add, that it was supposed to be my vacation. I left my wallet at home, so I stopped and got on a phone booth. At that point in time, in 87, it was phone booths. Down the phone booth where my dad told me, hey, son, Local 876 is calling you. You need to give them a call back, but they did leave a message stating that they need you down at the Union Hall. So I turned around, came back home, got my wallet, and went out to the Union Hall. And again, as I just told you, at 11:59, Farmer Jack went on strike. That also was the day that plane 255 crashed on I-94, leaving only maybe one survivor, and that was a kid, a baby, which one of my best friends from the Detroit Broadcasters Association, who also serves as a fireman for the city of Romulus, found that child. This is kind of shaking me up here, but I'm going to keep going. Today, cloudy day, misty day, was a day that the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin, who put on smiles and respect on many people's faces, passed away today. She passed away at the age of 76 of pancreatic cancer. She's remembered for a whole heck of a lot of things. I had the pleasure and the privilege to meet her up close and personal, which was in the area around about 2004. It was a sporting event going on, or a pre-sporting event going on, where Miss Franklin was part of the interview process there. And a particular teacher that I used to know at Southwestern High School, which I did not know, was a bodyguard for Aretha Franklin. In passing, I ended up seeing him, said hello, and he said, "Would you like to meet Miss Franklin?" And of course I do. Of course I do. And that was my one-on-one appearance of meeting a lady who was very humble, very nice, very decent, very homegoing there. And I'll never forget that time. I was like a sweaty box. I was nervous. But again, that day I remember very well. Franklin has done a lot of things for the city of Detroit, United States, around the world. She's topped the charts with great hits, Respect, Chain of Fools. She served and performed at many occasions for our presidents, 3 presidents she performed for. The world had just tremendous things to say about this thing. BBC, who broke the story around about 10 after 10 this morning, the actual time of death was 9:50. But BBC went on the air, which is a station that I kind of stream for, not taking it away from anybody else. Took the time to care. Great job by BBC. As they stayed on the air and went nonstop for an hour and 15 minutes of people around the world who served Aretha Franklin in song, in professionalism, in charities. Great thing. She gave some extreme memorable performances, though, in sports. And I want to go run some down to you there. She sang the national anthem in Game 1 of the 1993 World Series between Philadelphia and the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto. Hey, think about it here. Her performance was great. It was plain to see. She also will sing the national anthem at Game 3 of the 2011 American League Championship between the Detroit Tigers and the Texas Rangers in Detroit. Great job she did for that one, too. The Queen of Soul didn't just limit herself to baseball games there. Of course, she sang the anthem before Super Bowl 40 in 2006. But the best one, and the one I remember the best, was the football game on Thanksgiving Day in 2016, when she wowed the whole United States and then some, who I had the opportunity to be at that particular game with that cap on and that fur coat. And she played that piano solo there and did the national anthem just so majestic for 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Had that the crowd at all. Many of us were shaking and tears in our eyes, and it was a chill. The only time I ever had a chill in the national anthem was I was in the United Center in Chicago, where the national anthem is done in such a unique way. They played Minnesota that day, and that baby grand piano was on the 50th yard line, and man, I'll never forget that moment. Even took pictures while the anthem was going. But there's some more American themes that she took care of too in sports there. You know, if you WrestleMania was here in the third one, where she did a rendition of American the Beautiful in 1987. That was my first job other than Farmer Jack that I worked for with Titan Sports as a freelance electrician or quote unquote camera person. My first actual job in the media in the city of Detroit. I never forgot it. I was on one of the highest points in the Pontiac Silverdome. I'll never forget that sight. She also performed at WrestleMania 23 at Ford Field, where she wowed them there. And Detroit crowd really, oh man, it was crowded, it was great. But the one at the WrestleMania 3 was astounding because no one thought that 90-something thousand people would get in to watch a wrestling match. But when Aretha came on out there to sing, it was just magic in the air. It really was. Whether it was WrestleMania or the World Series or Super Bowl, you can't dispute that Aretha Franklin was one of the greatest of all time of opening up a sporting event. And on this day, we have our own memories of many of us listening to the radio, and if you're in the general metropolitan Detroit area, CKLW, WW, JLB, WCHB, WCAR, or any station that was in the power chord of playing great music for us, once upon a time, us freedom ring people here. It was great times in music, great renditions in music for women, for people who basically string out and say that they belong. The tune Respect says it at best. Although Otis Redding written the tune, Aretha Franklin refined it. So on this day, and many days to come before we find out Aretha Franklin's final resting place and final day of mourning where we can all celebrate her life, let's take some time out to pray for each other, care for each other, and most importantly, respect each other here. I think that's most of anybody would want. I'm Simply Butch. You can check me out on Facebook, Butch On Sports on Facebook, or type in SIMPOYBUTCHTOO.podomatic.com. You can go there. The game show, again, from pop.popbean.com, Scott Nason, Dave McKay, and friends. Yes, and also iTunes, you can get it as well. Hey, we'll probably be on the air on Saturday to recap the Lions game and a whole heck of a lot of other stuff there. Everybody be good to each other. This is Simply Butch. Butch On Sports is a presentation of Oh My Darling Productions. Have a great day, everybody.